What the hell is going on?
There goes Davis. Oh my God! Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
I love that intro.
Hey, you did a great job. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of War Eagle Weekly. As everyone can see, we got our new intro video in and hopefully some more things coming on that front. How are you doing tonight, Josh?
I'm doing good, man. It's a little impromptu early session, but that's okay.
Yep.
It's okay.
Yep.
We're ready to talk some Auburn
It
football.
is early. We had something come up and had to start a little bit earlier than usual. So let's jump right into it because there's kind of a lot to talk about and not a lot to talk about all at the same time. But let's just go ahead and get going. It's been one hell of a week in Auburn recruiting. The week before the dead period, we're feeling real good. We're like, okay, hey, things are happening. We have a certain somebody that flipped to Auburn in Alvin Henderson, flipping away from Penn State. Absolutely fantastic news. I was surprised at how hyped I got. Like initially I was like, it's just going to be, he's flipping. We've all been expecting it. It's nothing new, but he goes and does it. And all of a sudden I am just stoked out of my freaking mind about this commitment.
Absolutely. It's one of those things that everybody was expecting, but just not at that time. We all thought it could have happened any moment. And then whenever we were done talking about it happening any second, it happens. It's just kind of like a whirlwind thing. And he seems to be, solid with that commitment too. He's trash talking the other teams, especially our in-state rivals, the lesser school. And it's just he's all in it with Auburn, and I freaking love it.
Yeah. I mean, his quotes about Auburn after recommitting, Auburn is home. I really appreciate Penn State, and I love it up there and their coaches, but Auburn is home. It always has been. And that's from Auburn.
Well, it better be. You've been there 8
right?
million times.
Right. He also had amazing things to say after the Iron Bowl, talking about how it was crazy. The atmosphere was loud. I thought Auburn was about to come out on top. Already knew because Bama's not good. I expected Auburn to win. Like I tell everybody, these next 2-3 years, Auburn will be smacking Bama because we are going to be able to get the recruits here. And that's again from Auburn Live. That's what you want to hear from your recruits, man. Your commitments. That's what you want from the players that we have joining this team. Hey, it's bigger than Bama. Let's just be honest. We have higher aspirations than just beating Bama. Those years are long gone. But
that's always top of the list.
Exactly. It's still up there at the top. And every single Auburn fan feels that exact same way, Alvin. So, yeah, I love seeing those quotes from him. And let's just kick their ass because I'm tired of their shit. I really am.
I think the whole world is at this point. And the fact that Saban retired and they hired a D3 coach as their head coach, I love it.
It was kind of a boring hire, if you ask me.
It was. I mean, he's doing some really good things on the recruiting trail right now, but I think right now the name Bama is recruiting itself more than DeBoer is recruiting for Bama, and hopefully that tide shifts here in the next year or two.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, you did.
See it, and the thing is, though, it's because Bama is recruiting so well that makes this next part of our conversation so absolutely positively just gut-wrenching. Is Bama is killing it on the recruiting trail. Yes. They're finding new ways to cheat and giving players money under the table if they commit while on site there in Bama. That's got to be what it is, right? That's the Barner in me. But right out the gate, Caleb Cunningham visits Auburn, says that we're number one, and then all of a sudden he visits Bama, and now Bama is his number one. And apparently Caleb says 100% on this tweet saying that Bama's number one.
I feel like he said that about every school he's visited because he said it multiple times.
Yeah,
it's a long season. Recruiting's not over until it's over. I mean, yeah, Bama had the luxury of hosting him last before the dead period, but his comments coming out of that visit are a little concerning.
Yeah, no, I would agree, but it was just one thing, and you're like, okay, it's fine, it's okay, we're still doing good, and then all of a sudden, Card Smith or Card, if that is his name, I apologize, I've never audibly heard it from him. He decommits. He's one of our top lineman commits. Dear Auburn Nation, after days of deep thought and prayer, I have decided to decommit from Auburn University. This was a very hard decision for me and my family. I would like to thank the entire Auburn coaching staff for the time, effort, and energy that they put into recruiting me. Please respect my decision. Now, here's the thing. He mentions their time and effort and energy by the coaching staff. This coaching staff has also proven that if you decommit or if you're not even committed to begin with, they're going to keep on recruiting you. So this recruitment is by no means over. Yeah.
No way. No shot.
But you have to, as he puts it, respect his decision. And, if I was in his position, maybe there's some things changed. We were bringing in an amazing offensive line class. And so I can't fault him for maybe wanting to look elsewhere, but hopefully he comes back and realizes that this is where he wants to be and needs to be for his future.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's a long season, long recruiting season. It's not over till pen meets paper.
Yep. But again, it's one of those things where you're just like, hey, it's okay. We're okay. We're doing fine. Yep. We have a ton of other talent. We have a 5-star tackle already committed. We have the possibility of getting 2 more linemen, and one of them being another 5-star. So we're like, okay, hey, we're doing okay. We're still okay. And then all of a sudden, Herbert Scroggins goes and pushes his commitment date after visiting Miami. And then a few days later, he goes and commits to Miami. Now, over here on the graphic, it does show that he's a 3-star defensive edge. But this dude he's better than that. He's going to move up into a 4-star.
Yeah, the stars don't really mean too much until you get down to the 2 to 1-star range with offensive linemen. Not offensive linemen, defensive linemen. He's going to be a beast no matter what. It's kind of hard to beat the aura of Miami, Florida.
Yeah, that's true.
The atmosphere of Miami, Florida, I'd imagine it's just as alluring as, California, Los Angeles, California. Yeah. It's kind of hard to beat. Maybe he got caught up in that. Maybe Miami is a school for him. Who knows? There's still other prospects that Auburn's looking at. So I do feel this one is over compared to the other ones. More than the other ones anyways. But you just never really know.
Now, before we start getting the comments about the graphic here on the left being for Gavin Nix, I wanted something to look kind of poppy and really nice, but Herbert didn't have anything posted too well, and so I went ahead and grabbed that just because it kind of looks cool. Hooray for Miami! But that's the thing, was in our last episode, he was a lock. We were like, this is a lock. This is a foregone conclusion. And then all of a sudden he goes and commits. But that whole coaching staff is going to be fired before the end of the year. So they're going to have another shit show of a season. So that recruitment is wide open. As you can tell, I've started feeling a lot better about what has happened the last week as the time goes on. And I keep coming back down to earth. But initially, it was literally, what the hell is going on here? Because it's just one thing after another. And then all of a sudden, you get the very next thing, Zion Grady goes and commits to Ohio State. Okay? And so it's just domino after domino after domino after domino. And we thought that this was, something where, hey, he's coming back. Zion Grady's coming back. This is going to be great. He's in our class. Well, apparently, and hopefully the coaching staff has moved on to Jared Smith, and that's the reason why. But they also thought that they had Herbert Scroggins in their class. And I'm sure that's why they told him, hey, go elsewhere. We got our 2 guys. Well, it's starting to backfire on us.
Well, there's a part of me that wants to believe that these 2 commitments, whenever they were projected to go to Auburn on multiple sites, has got me thinking that maybe Auburn has come into play for these bigger time players. I can't remember the name you just said. It's slipping my mind.
Smith.
Yeah, Jared Smith. We could be a bigger player in his recruitment than a lot of thought, and we could be in play for some other big time guys. So it could have been the coaching staffs reached out to these players and said, "Hey, I think we're going to have to back off because we got other prospects in mind." Obviously, in a more professional manner than what I just said, but it's got me thinking that there's more players in play compared to just those 2 guys. So I'm not all that concerned. Edge is a very big need for us. But we could see a few guys, especially over Big Cat weekend. I know a lot of people are questioning whether or not Big Cat really is that big of a deal compared to other recruiting weekends, but over the years it's proved that Big Cat is one of the biggest recruiting weekends in college football, period. And so we could see some names pop over Big Cat weekend, and we could see some guys saying, "Hey, yeah, Auburn's definitely in my top 2 right now, or top 3." So it does have me thinking that Auburn has just come to the conclusion that they're going to back off those guys and chase higher profile people.
Hopefully that's the case, but it just seems poor timing. It had Scroggins committed to Miami just a week and a half ago. Maybe they, backtrack on Zion Grady and go ahead and get his commitment, because everything you hear is that he was going to commit and wanted to commit, and the coaching staff was like, "Hey, it's probably best if you, like you said, move on." But maybe there are some high profile players, and if we can get one specific high profile player that we're going to talk about next, maybe that'll help, and maybe that will be something that changes everything.
I hope recruiting never ends. It never friggin' does.
It doesn't. And here's a prime example of that, about recruiting never ending, is Juju Smith visited Colorado last week, where they named a burger after him, and apparently that's all Juju needed to know, because
that's the weirdest pitch to me.
According to Steve Fong, dropping a Fong bomb, saying that that Juju believes Colorado is the biggest name popping right now, and that 100% is Dion. I mean, we all know that. We all understand that, and Dion he has that allure to him, and I can't fault any player for looking into that allure and saying, "Hey, I kind of want to have him touch me." Not in a sexual way. That was a poor choice of words. I want to get the prime treatment, which doesn't sound much better, but hey, these kids love it. I am just trying to make Dion sound as bad as possible right here, and hopefully he sees this, and we get some sort of feud going on. It'd be the best thing that ever happened to me, possibly. But Juju Smith right now, the best thing is having a burger named after him and having prime time.
Wrong name again, Cameron.
This guy, Juju Lewis. I am constantly doing that. Sorry, listeners.
Always.
But I mean, did you buy this?
I don't know if I do buy it. I do like to think that he is all in it for business, and he's not just saying this to say it, because he obviously does have a guaranteed shot to come in and start immediately after this coming season, obviously when he'd be a freshman. But other than that, there's not really much pull for Colorado, because he's going to be working with these no-name receivers, barring some huge transfer portal gets, or who knows if Julian Lewis commits. It's true. And if Julian Lewis commits, then all these other guys saying that they'll go where he goes. It's just that could be another thing. But you just can't overlook the roster situation. You just really can't. Yeah, you want to start as quickly as possible, but when it comes to the guys you have thrown to, that's got to come into play.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm feeling a lot better and I'm a lot more cheery had we recorded this episode just a day ago. But it's just one of those things where, like, it just, as an Auburn fan, and Zach Blackerby has talked about this, but he's talked about how, as an Auburn fan and somebody that's around Auburn all the time, you get this dread in you, and you just think that maybe you're not good enough. And he assures me, Zach assures me that those days are over. But it's hard to believe that. I haven't quite fully bought in. I am not obnoxious and entitled like Alabama fans are. And so it's hard for me to have that. Plus, you add in the fact that I'm a pessimist and everything is going to go wrong.
Biggest pessimist I know.
And it's just doom and gloom. Now, since this tweet and since this came out, there's been some hype around Auburn for Juju Lewis, and things seem like maybe we're getting back on track where we need to go.
And it's for the exact same reasons I just laid out.
Yeah, it is, and it's so it makes us feel a little bit better, but at the same time, I'm still just absolutely terrified that our entire class is going to fall apart.
I'm not really terrified. I mean, if Juju Lewis doesn't pan out, Perry Thompson just released a video on TikTok saying that KJ is coming to Auburn. It's because KJ made a comment on one of his videos with the eagle emoji, and Perry Thompson was really fired up about it. It could just be that, just like a TikTok video of hope. But right. I mean, again, like we discussed last week, I have a feeling that if Juju doesn't make some sort of big decision in the coming weeks, then Auburn's going to back off and pursue other options.
And the homer in me, again, I want the best players, but at the same time, I'm just like, if he doesn't want to effing come here, then don't, dude.
Nice catch.
Get the hell out the door. I don't freaking need you. We can beat Bama without you, dude. I mean, that's but it's so hard. It's conflicting because I'm like, we really could use this guy. But we got KJ Lacey out there, or as I called him in a few previous episodes, Eddie Lacy, the big fat running back from Alabama. I apologize, KJ. But hey, maybe KJ is the guy that I'm going to start clamoring for here in the next couple of weeks. Who knows? But we'll never know. It's just one of those things. Well, and then again, to end it, the slide, to end the dip, we have another decommitment in Tyler Lockhart, who you had conversations with leading up to the decommitment, and everything looked like it was good. A lot of people were like, no, it's not a real commitment. It was kind of the opposite of Alvin Henderson. Everyone's like, it's only a matter of time. But he seemed to really be bought in on Auburn based off of your conversations with him.
Yeah, I mean, I tried reaching out to him to get a comment from him after the decommitment to see if Auburn is at least still in the running. I haven't heard anything, and he was usually pretty good about responding and being open about everything. And it's just complete, silence and dark. He went dark, and I have a feeling that Auburn's not even in consideration anymore. Again, this felt like to a lot of people, this felt like the Alvin Henderson commitment to Penn State, like you stated. They didn't really feel like this was a real commitment, but everything he was saying to me made it seem like he was really bought in and really trying to get Caleb Cunningham to come here as well. And then this happens. And so I feel like it's a Mississippi battle for Tyler Lockhart right now. I mean, Alabama could come out of the blue and get him. Who knows? But it does seem like it's going to be a Mississippi battle.
So it's just one of those things, because it also, you hear that Elijah Mendez is not as high on Auburn as he previously was, and that he was locking in more with Miami, which again, F Miami. Stop taking players. There's
so many conflicting reports about Elijah Mendez in Miami. A lot of people think that Auburn is still very much in it. He's just focusing more on Miami. But I do think Auburn is still in the running with Elijah Mendez, just not as much as we were. If we can get him back to Big Cat like he says he's probably going to do, that would be huge.
That'll help.
Absolutely huge.
So the reason why I'm feeling a little bit better than what I was yesterday is I listened to one of our competing podcasts or podcast family is what we'll call them.
Yes.
Because I enjoy these guys. I've been listening to them since 2013, the AU Wishbone podcast. They're the longest running podcast that Auburn has had that I know of. I don't know of anyone that's longer, but they Van Allen Plexico was talking about how recruiting is one of those things where he's just like, no, I don't really care until come pen to paper and everything. And he's like, if you're living and dying by it, and following it by commitment to commitment, week to week, you're going to be hurt and you're going to live a short life.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And man, right now, this morning, I felt like that because I was just like, this is just terrible. And so I've kind of tried to push away my anxiety on the subject, kind of like how I handle losses now. Losses used to, it was the Sunday
it
was
ruined
the worst,
our day.
Monday was the worst, Tuesday was okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit better, and then by Wednesday I'm just like on to the next game. But now it's one of those things where I'm just like, I'm not going to let it ruin it, and I'm not going to let it ruin my day, and I'm not going to let it kill me, to say the least. But recruiting is just one of those fickle things, and the nice thing is this coaching staff has proven that they're not going to stop recruiting these guys, the guys that they want. They're not going to, rest on their laurels. They all love to recruit, and so we're still in it until the very end. And I'm sure there's some commitments out there that are going to be coming that they have lined up. But right now, it's rough. It was a rough week, and like we started the show, what the hell is going on? But the storm hopefully calms, and hopefully we get some positive news.
I mean, we can hope. Big Cat's coming up. Is going to be here before you know it. To distract us from any more bad news, we got NCAA 25 coming out in a couple weeks. So I mean, there's a lot of good things that can distract us from any bad news.
Perfect segue, because this last week. Well, to start off, just to let the viewers know, you and I both are huge NCAA football fans.
Yes.
And absolutely, positively loved playing the game. We had an online dynasty that was going on forever. One of the guys in that dynasty was an Alabama fan, and
bless his heart.
And we haven't talked to the guy in 14 years almost. I mean, we've talked to him here and there, but dude's getting an Xbox to play with us. So this is a big thing. This is making all kinds of news. The off season, it's hard to come up with topics outside of recruiting. And lo and behold, EA goes and decides to piss off the Auburn fan base, and comes out with the top 25 toughest places to play. And here, Josh, let's take a look at the top 5 where Auburn. Wait, no, we're in the top 10. Wait, top 15. Oh, there we are, all the way down at 14.
Oh my gosh.
Whew. So the Auburn hate continues nationwide. I mean, okay.
The only team I really have an issue with on this list right now is Texas A&M. When's the last time Texas A&M won a big game at Kyle Field? Like they lose the biggest games at home. They don't win the biggest games. Yeah, it's a rowdy place to play, but how many big games has Texas A&M won at home compared to Auburn? Like, get out of town.
I'm trying to find my notes because a few weeks back or a month back, we ranked the SEC stadiums toughest places to play, and I personally do not remember Texas A&M being that high up there. I don't remember Alabama being up there. Let's see here. Here we go. This is what we have here. So we have, or I had Texas A&M as the 10th toughest, with Alabama being the 6th. Now LSU for me was the number 1, so I am totally okay with them being number 3.
Oh, absolutely, but they should definitely be higher. Yep. No one wants to go to Death Valley at night. No one. You ask any football fan ever, They'll tell you they do not want to go to LSU at night.
Yeah. And so Texas A&M being there is definitely a joke. I absolutely hated it. And like we were talking about, if you go and look at Auburn's record over the last 5 years in our stadium at home, it's not good. It's abysmal. And we're pretty low on the rankings if you look at that. But go back and watch Auburn play Texas A&M in a year where both teams had 2 games. You tell me that that's only the 14th toughest place. You go back last year and you look at the Iron Bowl, okay? Alabama, a playoff team, okay? Having Jalen Milroe, having Isaiah Bond, having all of these star players, having Nick Saban at the helm still. And it comes down to bad coaching decision. That stadium didn't let the team down. Those fans did not let the team down. Auburn deserves to.
How many times has Nick Saban begged Alabama students to stay at the games instead of leaving? So to put them at number 2 is also just a mind-boggling thing. I think they do deserve to be in the top 5 because it is a tough place to play. But I didn't mean to cut you off there. It just reminded me. It's just ridiculous.
You're fine.
Like even that Alabama fan you were talking about that's going to play the game with us. He's like, how the hell is Auburn not in the top 5 toughest places to play? It just doesn't make it. Like, we got fans of different teams saying that Alabama's too high, Auburn's too low.
Greg McElroy, Alabama alum, was talking about how Auburn was the toughest place that he played during his collegiate career. Go talk to all these other SEC athletes, and they consistently talk about how tough Auburn is to play at. And so, we for sure deserve to be in the top 10. As in our episode that we talked about, the top 10 hardest stadium or toughest stadiums to play at, we talked about how just because a team is good, like Alabama, like Georgia, in my opinion, I know we have a separate opinion on Georgia, but like those teams, even if their team is good and they win at home, that does not mean that they have a tough road environment. They have a tough home environment. Exactly. That's what it means. And this is a classic case of the situation. Auburn has not been good. We don't have a good record, but go look at us playing Georgia State, whether or not that crowd was completely empty when Brian Harsin was here. Go look at that second year that Brian Harsin was here when we played Missouri, the crap fest that game was. And tell me that outside of them skipping away, ESPN that is, skipping away to go show effing Aaron Judge try to hit a home run and constantly strike out, go tell me that crowd was empty when those two teams were not good. This is not a sign of a top 14 or a top 15 stadium. This is a sign of a top 10 stadium at the very least. And so initially when they released this, I was like, oh, okay, 14, we're in the top 25, And then you really think about it and you're just like, what the hell are they talking about? What the hell is going on? The theme of this episode, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. I mean, to put teams like Florida, when's the last time Florida was daunting at home?
Oof.
When's the last time? To put Oklahoma at
Florida
number 8.
Was the number 2 for me.
Okay, the swamp is historically daunting, but when's the last time they were actually daunting at home, Cameron?
I think they still are. I really do. It kind of goes along with Auburn. That's what some other fans are saying about Auburn fan bases. So I'm totally okay with the Florida being in the top 10 personally.
Oh, sure. I agree, but not ahead of Auburn.
But Wisconsin, number 7, come on. Penn State
That's a tough
definitely
place to play.
deserves
I agree
to be
with
up there.
Wisconsin. I agree with everyone, all the places except for Texas A&M, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Florida. Those are 5 teams that should not be above Auburn.
I also don't understand how South Carolina's top 15. I don't get that. They're ahead of Michigan. If I was a Michigan fan, I'd be so freaking pissed at this list.
There was a South Carolina fan on this list. I guarantee it. Coming up with this list, I guarantee there's a South Carolina alumni saying how tough that place is to play. I guarantee it.
I think what he did is he put USC there and didn't put the logo, just put the name USC. And so they thought that USC in California. Probably. And he was like, gotcha.
There is one team on here There's one team on here I feel like no one is talking about, and it pisses me off, even though I hate it. Mississippi State being all the way down at 25 is ridiculous. They should definitely be in the top 15. No one likes playing at Mississippi State because of those daggum cowbells. And to be at 25, that's, if I was a Mississippi State fan, that's when I would be just up in arms, burning down buildings.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, I agree completely. But yeah, so outside of that, moving on to more of the EA game, neither one of us expected to see them on the top 25 offenses. So there was no surprise that they were excluded there. So I'm not worried by that. I'm not bothered by that after the shit show that last season was offensively. But defensively, getting a little respect.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, 86, I'm okay with that. Ahead of LSU, which we should be. Ahead of Texas A&M, which we should be. Colorado showing up all over their top 25 offense and defense. It baffles me. I don't get it. I mean, they have two good players, two. And apparently it's good enough for their offense and defense to be great.
Well, I mean, he plays two ways. He's their entire team.
Right. But Auburn at 86, I'm okay with this. I felt like this was a good representation. I thought that this was, it showed Auburn fans that, hey, we recognize that you guys have produced year in and year out top 25 defenses in college football. But the one thing that does hurt me inside is listing USC as having the same overall defense.
That doesn't make sense at all. Doesn't make sense at all.
Did they watch games last year? Did they see that Jaylin Williams was having to put up 40 points a game just to win some games? I mean, come on.
I mean, these rankings will surely, change as the season goes on.
Yeah.
But to also have Alabama as a 90 overall defense is also a little puzzling to me. They lost a third of their talent. They lost a lot. They lost a lot. Yeah. I don't understand. Like there's players that haven't even played the game of college football, and they're just putting them at a higher ranking just because it's Alabama.
Offensively, I'm okay with it because you got Jalen Milroe.
Sure.
Jalen Milroe will make up a lot of ground offensively, but defensively, they ain't got nobody. They're going to be a terrible defensive team. But I think something that you and I both can agree on is seeing the University of Utah up there and what Kyle Whittingham has done with that defense. Year in and year out, they have one of the toughest defenses in the country. It can't hang with the Georgias, the Ohio States, or maybe even the Texases out there. But I sure do believe that they'd give Texas a run for their money.
Well, I feel like if they had a better offense, then they would be able to keep up with them. Yeah. But the defense is, like you said, year in and year out, really good. Kyle Whittingham is one hell of a coach.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And so, all in all, okay, I'm satisfied with the way that EA College Football 25 has taken care of Auburn, and we're getting a lot of publicity in that sense, but they definitely were lacking on the toughest places to play. They definitely did a good job of keeping us out of the top 25 offenses. I'd be surprised if we have a 7D overall offense in the game, to be perfectly honest.
I feel like I saw a screenshot where Auburn's overall was like an 87 or 88.
Okay.
That could be a little high. It could be around the 83 to 85 mark, but regardless, I think I saw the screenshot where Auburn's offense was like an 82 or 83 overall.
Okay. Well, I can't argue with that.
No, we got a lot of returning players on the offensive side of the ball, a lot of friggin' ballers. So, I mean, I feel like the respect is there. We just haven't, physically seen it because the game isn't out yet.
Yeah, no, that's true. But two fans right here that are super excited about this game.
Yes.
And we're going to be doing a league, possibly a league with the followers even. So we might have something going on there. Moving right along, another preseason topic to talk about is Phil Steele, the guy that everybody knows and loves. and sometimes loves to hate. He announced his all SEC team, and there was one Auburn player on his SEC team, first team. And honestly, I can't think of anybody else that maybe should have been there other than maybe Keontae Scott, but I'm okay with the person that he selected in Jarquez Hunter. Now, Jarquez Hunter, he was just under 1,000 yards rushing last year. He missed the first game of the season. It took him a couple of games to really get his legs underneath him. But can Jarquez Hunter, and we've talked about this before between the two of us, can he have that type of season where he is first team all SEC?
Well, I think he's going to rush close to 2,000 yards. I think he could have a top 3 season this year. I think he could possibly be the best back in the SEC by the end of the year. So I really do think that Phil Steele is on the right track in selecting him as the first team preseason running back. I expect Auburn offense to be a lot more run heavy this coming year, trying to go to probably a 60-40 run to pass split. I really do think Jarquez Hunter could be one of the guys that, puts Auburn back on the map and in everybody's minds.
And see, that's where you and I differ a lot on the ideas of what the offense is going to look like, because I think it's going to be 60-30 passing, to be perfectly honest. And so I don't see him having 10%. 60-40. Sorry. 60-40 passing. I just don't see it. I don't see Jarquez Hunter having a all first team SEC type season. I think he has the talent to, and in the right situation. If Gus was here, this is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer. I mean, it's going to happen. If they are out there playing without offensive linemen and defensive linemen, it's a no-brainer if Gus is here. But Hugh Freeze has never had a history of using his backs like that. And when he does use his backs, he uses 3 deep usually. The kind of numbers we're talking about, the first team all SEC last year we had 2 running backs. One of them you're looking at Cody Schrader, who had 1,600 rushing yards, 1,900 all-purpose yards, roughly right around there, and 14 rushing touchdowns. And then you had Quinshawn Judkins, who was at Ole Miss at the time. I know as the graphic says Ohio State, that's where he's currently at, but he was at Ole Miss, and he was the second leading rusher with 1,158 yards on the offensive ground.
Well, I think Jarquez beats both of those stats.
And I don't see that. I don't see that in Hugh Freeze's offense. I just don't. I think he has the talent to be first team all SEC. I just don't see the stats lining up with that.
Yeah, you're entitled to your opinion. I mean, I definitely think he can beat 1,100 rushing yards, and I think he can get a little over 1,600 rushing yards, close to those touchdowns as well. And I think he's going to have more receiving yards than both of those guys, because we all know that he can also run routes and catch the ball.
Yeah,
he's proven that time and time again. Yeah, and so if those are qualifying stats for all SEC running backs, and I think Jarquez Hunter is definitely right in the same conversation.
Now, I think when you're talking all-purpose yards, I think he can approach what Quinshawn Judkins was doing at Ole Miss. I think he can approach that, and I think that in that case, yes, it's plausible, and it could possibly be there. But I think we're gonna see more running out of a number of different teams in the SEC this year. I think Georgia is going to rely on the running game a lot more than they have in the past. Yes, they have Carson Beck coming back. Yes, Carson Beck is a Heisman candidate up to this point, but he does not have the best 2 receivers that Georgia had last year in Brock Bowers and McConkey, who was there for 10 years like Aaron Murray.
Right.
He just does not have I don't think he has the talent. Yeah, he had Raw Thomas from Mississippi State, and so maybe something happens there, but I'm not buying the Georgia offense hype outside of the running game. I mean, they'll always produce a good running game. So I just don't know if Jarquez Hunter can have that type of season because of the offense he plays in, not because of the talent and not because of who he is and his work ethic. He should have a good year. I think he's going to have a good year. I just don't see those kinds of numbers when he has as much of a talent talented backups as he has, because Cobb is going to get some touches,
Yes,
Amari is going to get some touches, and that's going to take away from Jarquez.
Hey, you're right.
Now, Jarquez may finish the season with more than 14 rushing touchdowns. I could very well see that. And maybe that propels him and offsets some of his yardage woes. But I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about this.
I mean, we'll find out starting August 31st. But I think you and I are complete opposite opinions on that for sure.
Yeah, we are. And that's okay. I mean, that's why we love having these conversations. Whenever we're on the podcast, there's a lot less screaming and a lot less disagreement between the two of us. But we definitely do disagree. In fact, tomorrow we're going to be seeing each other tomorrow on July 3rd. We're doing our family 4th of July celebration. There's going to be some argument that we're going to have. Josh doesn't even know. I got something unloaded in the chamber ready to go. And
let's go, bro. First round's a hollow point. Hope you're ready.
Well, keeping it clean, keeping it friendly, moving right along to our last topic of the night. Our man, Jaylen Williams, signed with the Denver Nuggets after he went undrafted in the NBA draft.
Asinine.
Okay, so we differ here as well. I think Jaylen Williams, he had the potential to be drafted, but I'm not upset that he wasn't drafted. The NBA draft is 2 rounds, okay? There's just not a lot of players that get drafted. I think he should have been. I think he could have been, but I'm not upset like you are, disappointed, or thinking that it was totally ridiculous.
One reason I'm upset.
What I do have a problem with is the fact that Bronny James got drafted over Jaylen Williams. But that's not even. But see, the thing is you've seen all these stats. The NC State center didn't get drafted, and Bronny did. Is it Elijah Ellis, or what's the shooting guard on USC's team? He didn't get drafted, but Bronny James did.
It's a perfect example of nepotism.
Yep.
The perfect example of nepotism. That's the only reason Bronny got drafted. That's the reason that so many players that deserve to be drafted did not get drafted. It does not make sense to me why Bronny James was evaluated. He probably wasn't even evaluated, to be honest with you. He had a good combine. That's literally it. It's just nepotism at its finest.
But I wanted to talk more about the positive of Jaylen Williams having the opportunity to be with the Denver Nuggets. I couldn't wish for a better chance for him. The Denver Nuggets are a elite organization in basketball. Their owner is a scum and a complete douchebag. But the people that are making the day-to-day decisions, you can't argue with that, especially playing with Murray and Joker. I think Jaylen Williams could have a huge impact on that team if he makes the team. I think maybe he's not going to have a rookie year. He'll probably be playing in the G League, but I think he has the ability to make the team. And I think in a couple of years, we might see him in the NBA Finals whenever the Denver Nuggets get back. Hopefully they're not playing Miami Heat. Whenever the Heat come in and
they're not getting anywhere close.
Hopefully the Nuggets are nowhere around. So, but congratulations to Jaylen Williams. Yes. We're both super excited for his opportunity and couldn't be happier for him.
Absolutely. It's just another opportunity for him to, prove everybody wrong, show everybody what he's got. And hopefully he's able to, capitalize on his talents and the opportunities he receives to, put forth a good argument of why he deserves to be on the final roster.
Yep. Most definitely. Well, that is all of our topics tonight, Josh. Once again, you're like, oh, so I take it tonight's going to be a short episode. I'm like, hell no.
Nope.
We're talking to the topics. We're going through the topics. We're hitting 44 minutes currently as it stands. We are going to talk this out, and we're going to get through everything. And it's been one hell of an episode. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. War Eagle, Josh.
War Eagle, Cameron.